Ya Pulingana, Milandina, Wukalina, Palawa Chu. Hello and welcome to Wukalina Aboriginal land.
In the lead-up to NAIDOC Week 2013, LANDTALK was invited by the Aboriginal Land Council of Tasmania to learn about a cultural trek which they are currently developing. Beginning at Wukalina, also known as Mount William, the 4-day cultural trek will lead south to Larapuna, where the Eddystone Point Lighthouse overlooks the world-renowned Bay of Fires. Welcome to LANDTALK. My name is Matt Sykes. So Clyde, as Chairman of the Aboriginal Land Council of Tasmania, what's your vision for a cultural trek?
To provide an opportunity for the Aboriginal community to give a cultural interpretation of the landscape at Wukalina.
Who will the trek be designed for?
It'll be designed for those tourists who want to come to Tasmania and get an understanding of the cultural landscape of this state. A lot of the history or tourism in Tasmania at the moment is centred around white history, and I think it's important that we give an opportunity for people to come and learn that cultural connection or interpretation of that landscape.
Why is Wukalina so important to Tasmanian Aboriginal people?
Wukalina is the traditional landscape of our ancestral connections. Our traditional people came from that area and they were removed, of course, off to the islands, but most of our traditional understanding is linked to the Wukalina area. Now, I was brought up on Flinders Island, but my traditional cultural link is Wukalina and the northeast of Tasmania. So from that aspect, it's important for us as a people to be able to relate to that and give people an understanding.
When do you expect to be up and running?
We've been working on this for about 5 years. I'm hopeful that we will be able to make an announcement in the next couple of months as to the actual establishment stage, which I would hope allows us to run some sort of activity at Wukalina during the next tourist season. Now, it may not be the tour in its final stage, but hopefully we can get something up and running next year.
How will you look to start the business? Will it be government supported? Will you look for private investment? Or is there an existing tour company that you'd partner up with?
Well, we take it one step at a time. We're looking firstly at government support to establish things like the base camp on the landscape. We then will be looking at what are the possibilities in relation to partnerships. We've already got an ongoing relationship with one of the operators in the area, and we will hopefully maintain a connection to that. But of course we'll be using the lighthouse precinct at Larapuna to give interpretation of that history too. And having the lighthouse is an advantage, I think, in that we have already negotiated with AMSAR, the marine safety people, to conduct lighthouse tours.
How is Aboriginal knowledge of the land going to give you an advantage against your competition?
I think simply because it'll have that holistic interpretation, which other walks don't have, and they barely touch Aboriginal interpretation because they don't know it, and I think that's one of the real aces that we've got up our sleeve. And as I said, we've already got a relationship with one of the tour operators, and they've indicated to us that they'll be taking advantage of our interpretation for their clients. So I think in that way will be something different.
Tail run, and so as he's not really hopping, he's just sort of grazing on the ground. Yeah. So what he's done, he's have his 2 feet here, his tail's dragged in the middle, and his front paws have been right there and there. Yeah. And so, obviously I'm a bit bigger, he'd be like that. Yeah. So he'd put his hands out, hopping like that. Same time, dragging his tail through.
What should clients expect from the cultural experience?
We are about giving that holistic interpretation. Land for Aboriginal people is the provider of everything. It's the provider of life, it's the Mother Earth. So that's what we're about, and we're hopeful that we can take the interpretation to that level for the clients that come on our trek. And it'll be not only enjoying the natural landscape, but the cultural landscape.
Danny, what does the opportunity to guide people from mainland Australia and from all over the world through your country mean to you?
I'm continuing to learn every time I'm on country. By taking people out on country, it's a way for me to continue learning, to share our culture to people and allowing them to take away something that's special to us. We ourselves as people know, our connection to culture goes way back further than what we have as in evidence. We're talking about Dreamtime stories and sharing them with people how we were created, our verse of how we were created.
What are some of the ways that you can interpret this landscape?
Learning from classroom environments and books it's really difficult to get people to understand, what exactly is underneath the land, what makes it, what is everything consisted of. So some people might paint, tell a story. For me, it's doing the same thing, a painting, but my painting is in the image of a dance. So I'll tell how we are created through the way I dance, by doing traditional dances or contemporary dances with traditional stories. When the Europeans first came over, how it would have reacted having all these new images, new animals, such as the horse and the cow and the sheep, all these sort of animals coming over. We can share them stories through dance, just by having a sit down around a fire. And when we're on country, we're more responsible for our actions and how we be respectful to Mother Nature and also everything else that lives on the country.
What do you hope that people take away from this experience?
A better understanding of our culture and knowing that Tasmanian Aboriginal people, we're a different race of Aboriginal people from mainland cultures. So they're learning how we connect with our country, how we tell our stories, how we do our dances. And when they leave our country, they will then go off, it's shared through them, through their people. And then, you've also got the interests of others who are wanting to come over and learn.
By working with Clyde and Danny to tell the story of the Wukalina to Larapuna cultural trek, we are helping them get their business off the ground. For them, this is a sales pitch, and we believe in using business as a vehicle to share land knowledge. Aboriginal people's understanding of the land and the sea is a resource, and investing in that resource through tourism will lead to economic development. But it's much more than that. It's about identity and the spirit that a person gains from being on country. My name is Matt Sykes, and this has been Land Talk for NAIDOC Week.